Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel at last. This is N.E.R.V speaking. I want to start off by saying that I hope you all had a wonderful, extremely belated holiday season. It's 2022 and mid-March by the time I'm recording my voice. So here's to a prosperous year filled with health, peace, and success. So I know a lot has happened after the last video, and yeah, I mean, a lot has happened. I do not even know where to begin. Like for example, I can see that YouTube has disabled dislikes. Yes, I know I am super late to the party, but I have the same sentiment as everybody else. I don't get why they done it. It's counterproductive because contrary to what they say, dislike is engagement, it's feedback, and the easiest way to show disagreement if you're not an avid commenter. So now, in order to express said dislike, you have to write it down in the comment sections, which in my opinion contradicts their purpose of making this platform safer and friendlier for all creators because let's be honest, not everyone can take criticism, and sometimes criticism is disguised as bullying, harassment, all that jazz. It doesn't matter if you're big or small, it applies to everybody. Having no easier form or a more silent form of disliking invites nastiness. In my opinion, and based on the content I consumed, life without dislikes has been insane. I mean, YouTube in a sense has been crazy in some way, shape, or form. But is it just me, or has it gone worse after the dislikes got disabled? Or, well, hidden from the public eye and only the creators can see it? Because some people can become passionate on opinions, and when they express it on the comment section, some of them, it just invites nastiness. It could be me, and it might also depend on the community or the movement or the creator. But one has to be careful now. But hey, I guess on the bright side, they're not tolerating mass flaggings and mass reports without foundation, among other things that fall under cyberbullying, so thank you for that. I still want my dislikes though. Yet, we're not here to rant about YouTube. That could be a conversation for another day. Today, after such a long time, I'm going to dive into artist woes. In particular, watercolors. I adore it. I love the paintings done with watercolors. It's delicate, it's fluid, the texture is nice. But my gosh, it's the hardest medium to deal with. I started using watercolors when I was in high school, and since then I've struggled in figuring out how to make good paintings with them. I remember being told that they can't be handled the same way as acrylic paint, gouache, and I believe oil too. But for a time I was subconsciously at fault with it because I wanted to make the colors be opaque and vibrant, when in reality watercolors are a bit more subdued. I still have that problem every now and then that I want vibrancy, which you can do that by reapplying and repainting for shading and to add layers. But that's been my main issue. Well, one of them, like how in the world do I reapply without damaging the paper? How much water should I put in? How dry or humid does the paper need to be? I'll be honest that it's been easier for me to work with mixed media paper rather than watercolor paper. Because for some reason the latter starts to peel, get grainy, the texture looks off, and ultimately I leave holes. With mixed media paper, yes, the paper kinda gets wobbly, I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but it hardly breaks unless I literally pour water on it and spin my brush at the same place over and over without pause. But watercolor paper? One stroke and the fabric starts to peel bad. Like, what the heck? You are supposed to handle this shit. Why the hell are you breaking up? I've been told that it all depends on the brand and the paper quality, but I don't know. I prefer mixed media paper for watercolors over the other. I probably chosen a good brand for the former. But back in the day when I was making artist books, I started using watercolor papers from brands that I love and comparing it with mixed media, and the latter works better for all. It bent easier when I make accordion books, it stuck better. Though watercolor paper has a great texture for drawing and even using colored pencils on, I want to try out pastels in it someday. Isn't it ironic that it works better for dry media? Yes, I am speaking for myself, don't take my word as gospel. Anyways, I started using watercolors between 2012 to 2014. I know, 8 to 10 years. I suddenly feel old. And my experiences have been 50-50. Sometimes I have figured out how to paint in watercolors, other times I don't. Because there are so many ways to do it, but at the same time it's specific. And whenever I do it again, I fail. I tried several tips, experimented with it, done trial and error, but I can't get it off. I actually, to be quite honest, there are a few works that I presented in my first video in this channel that they were done in watercolors, and I can say that they were decent, but it came at the expense of tears, intense journey to break them, and with nervous breakdowns. Yes, I hated them when I made them. Now years later I like them, but it's painful. I am not supposed to feel anxious or irate when I'm doing something that I love, but it happens. I am not sure if any of you have felt this way with watercolors or any other medium, or maybe I am just terrible, but it's frustrating. Once again, I don't think watercolor is bad. I am not trashing watercolors. The reason why I'm even ranting is because I love them and I want to be able to paint as good as everyone else. It seems effortless and easy to use. In fact, I will share a little story time. This artwork feature here was going to be painted in watercolor. I was starting off with skin because it's usually the hardest part for me to paint, and also because by the time I start painting eyes or hair, the colors don't accidentally blend with one and the other. When I started, I accepted the fact that the paper will always have this grainy look when you paint with watercolor, and it'll let out microscopic bits of fabric. It happens with both watercolors and mixed media paper. I was using my old reliable mixed media. I always thought it was a bad thing that the painting had this sort of crusty look because every painting I see was smooth and immaculate. But when I took a closer look at them, when you zoom in, they have that texture. So I told myself that it wasn't a bad thing if it came out imperfect. The process you see here is just a sketch because that was the only thing I saved. I was recording the painting process, but I deleted it because I didn't want to see it. Long story short, I was detailing skin. At some point I added blush under cheeks. It worked for Kimmy, but when I tried to go for Hanami, it was too red. I tried blending it, but it started to look like a bruise. When I tried to fix it, I accidentally added black paint. On top of that, the paper started to tear. So I literally rage quit it, ripped the whole drawing in pieces and threw my sketchbook all the way across the kitchen. Afterwards, I didn't want to make art for a whole week. I felt horrible. The drawing was hard to begin with, the hands were difficult to do even with reference. It was going to be a milestone for hitting a certain amount of followers both in Artful and Instagram. I was going to host a Draw This in Your Style challenge, and this was going to be the drawing I wanted people to do. One of the options I had in mind was to allow people to draw one of the girls and include their own characters, or they could draw the two of them together and maybe also include their own characters or just the two of them alone. I wanted to allow that type of creative freedom for this challenge. In the future, I will explain who they are and what's their history, and by history I mean each of their own backstory. And right off the bat, I have to announce this, but they're not a couple. I'm sorry about that. But yes, I felt awful when I had to discard this work. It took a whole month to do it, so I was furious when I ruined it. In fact, the reason why this video took so long to do and finish was because I wanted to record this without feeling that sliver of guilt, to put it kindly. Even now talking about this, I feel a bit sad and frustrated. Like, I feel pressure into having things figured out by now. But I think a silver lining to this is that I had the sketch saved and I can make something better out of it. I won't be remaking the same artwork. I will be doing something else probably. I'm still figuring it out. That being said, I still want to try watercolors. Just not now. I have a complicated history with making full color drawings because I am a perfectionist. I can't make mistakes, which I am aware that is the number one reason why this hurt. Everything has to look good. I can't see one dot of wrong because I will freak out what if I do. I don't get as anxious as I used to, but coloring for me has been eh. But if I want to do illustration, a book cover and such, I need to paint. I'm trying to lose my fear or like my nitpickiness over coloring. Today I have to try to lose that fear over watercolors and keep in mind that I am going to mess things up again and again and again. And I just have to forgive myself rather than inflict shame and pressure or think that I don't deserve to be called an artist just because I have a harder time getting used to one medium compared to the rest. The point is, we all struggle somewhere, right? Back in middle school, I used to be scared of drawing with pens because my line work was wobbly. I thought that was reserved for the nimble, for professionals, people not like me by then. I really didn't like to shade either because I found it daunting and time consuming to do that, but I started doing it anyway, especially since I wanted to do comics in the future. Now, shading, highlighting, and line work are some of my favorite things to do. I freaking love shading and being as ornamental as possible. But it's funny because I used to be pretty quick at drawing, but now I take my dearest time in finishing an artwork. Even if it's a sketch, because I need details. I want to be extra on all of my artworks. But anyways, I want to ask something for those who draw or paint professionally, or even to artists that do this as a hobby. Is there a particular medium that you have a hard time getting used to or used to have a hard time? Which one did you have a longer time in getting accustomed to? Any particular pet peeves that you have with the medium of choice? This also applies to digital art. Did you find it easier or harder? I am super curious about that. And my gosh, this wasn't as long as I wanted to be. So since there's time left, and even if I had to try to speed it up a little bit, I'm just gonna include music in the meantime. So enjoy this mini commercial break.
Don't look back, we're here to stay. A life we knew would come one day. And this is it, the borderline to where the future leaves us behind. The fire will burn and never die, looking through the eyes of a brand new life. And so just find me, just find me. Sparks will fly if we scream no. This is not how we're gonna go. We are the ones who will never let go. Just watch us run to where no one knows. We'll never grow. We'll never grow. Don't look back, we're here to stay. A life we knew would come one day. And this is it, the borderline to where the future leaves us behind. The fire will burn and never die, looking through the eyes of a brand new life. And so just find me, just find me. Sparks will fly if we scream no. This is not how we're gonna go. We are the ones who will never let go. Just watch us run to where no one knows. We'll never grow. We'll never grow. We'll never grow.
Oh hey, I'm back, but sadly this is where I shall conclude this mini ranty video. Yes, I am still in that journey of deciding what other route should I mix in besides art. Feedback is welcome. I'm still very new when it comes to content creation and I want to keep on growing and improving on my editing. So at the moment I am taking an experimental route when it comes to topics. Thankfully I am working on a different video, so I will have that one up in not in 3 months, that's for sure. But pretty soon because I have a script. Woo! For now, thank you for making it this far. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more surprises or hear me rant again in the future, then feel free to subscribe. I'd highly appreciate that. Anyways, I hope you're all having a wonderful day, and I shall see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.